This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo GARIS. This is flyer number 7-4, entitled Modifying Females' Hypergamous Psychology. Description. This flyer claims that as most males become masculists/MGTOWs, women will be forced to hide their true hypergamous nature and present only their FIP side to men. Otherwise, they will not get a man. Flyer itself. Modifying females' hypergamous psychology. I think the following scenario is very probable. In today's America, over 70% of young men under 35 refuse to marry and have kids due to the toxicity of the divorce courts that will take the kids away from a divorcing father. He will lose his house, pay child support and alimony to his fluffy ex-wife. So millions of young men are going MGTOW, men going their own way, spending their money on themselves, millions of them. But men evolved to want to penis women. It's their raison d'etre, their reason for living in French. So how to get regular sex from women if these MGTOWs refuse to marry and have kids? Question mark. By tway-tweffing, that is, living the tway-tweff lifestyle for men. Tway-tweff equals 2A2F equals 2 apartments, 2 FIPs. FIPs is financially independent persons, where both the man and the woman are FIPs, having their own apartment each. The huge advantage of this lifestyle for men is that it makes it easy for men to dump women, cost-free to men. There's no divorce because no marriage, no child support because no kids, no alimony because the woman is a FIP. Tway-tweffing has the extra advantage that it keeps women being nice to men. If a tway-tweffing FIP female starts nagging her male partner, withholds sex, starts trying to modify him the way she wants, then he can so easily dump her, cost-free, that she is scared that if she's not nice to him always, then she'll be dumped. This constant threat keeps her on her toes, on her best behavior. Otherwise, she is out the door. He can so easily just walk away, back to his own apartment and find another FIP female to penis. Okay, now imagine a few years from now, millions upon millions of men not just boycotting marriage and fatherhood, but have taken up tway-tweffing, especially once the concept and the label are generally known. This will then change what I call the sexual ecology. By that I mean the ecology that exists in regard to mutual expectations of gender roles and sexual accessibility. For example, in the 90s in Japan, where I was living at the time, if I had been single, which I wasn't, but say I was, and I wanted to date Japanese women, and imagine I was both a masculist and a MGTOW at the same time, I would have had a very hard time trying to persuade some Japanese female to have a serious long-term relationship with me because of my masculist/MGTOW expectations on her. That is, expecting her to be FIP and not parasite on me, not expecting me to be a manslave so that she could have kids in a middle-class house paid for by me. Imagine 99% of Japanese females imagine 99% of Japanese females would not be interested then in having a serious relationship with such a masculist/MGTOW male. I would find it very difficult to find a FIP Japanese female. Now imagine that I'm a masculist/MGTOW in the US a few years into the future, and 90% of men are masculist/MGTOWs who won't look twice at women who have fluffy attitudes. That is, who want some manslave to pay for her to stay at home in the middle class house that he paid for to mother her kids in. These American fluffy women would have a hard time finding a man to have a long-term relationship with, let alone finding a man who's prepared to be manslaved and parasited upon. In other words, the two sexual ecologies are the opposite of each other. In the former, the man has to adapt to the sexual ecology of Japan in the 90s, where virtually all the Japanese women were fluffies. In the 10s, in the US, the teens, I guess, the American women will have to adapt to the sexual ecology in which most of the men are MGTOWs, who see fluffies as vermin. Now, how will these American and similarly incomparable countries' women adapt to the sexual ecology in which the vast majority of men piss on fluffies? These women will be forced to adapt to MGTOW males. They know that if they express fluffy attitudes, that is, if they manifest their true hypergamous nature, then that will be the kiss of death for them in terms of getting a man. There are so many fit women around now in the advanced Western countries. For example, in many Western universities, about 60% or more of medical students, future doctors, are female. A similar story holds for dentistry, law, etc. The fact that there are so many fit females around changes the sexual ecology for men, and hence for women, according to the following chain of logic. With more fit females, more men can tway-twef with fit females. The more men who tway-twef, the fewer men are available to be man-slaves to fluffies. Fluffies are then forced to become fips if they want to get a man, so they study fip majors at high school and college and become real fips. There are now even more fit women available to men until fluffies are wiped out. So women will need to hide or block expression of their hypergamous nature with men, or they'll pay a heavy price. They won't get a man, and hence live a manless, loveless, sexless, babyless, shunned existence. So women will need to modify their hypergamous nature in a way analogous to the way men learned not to openly objectify women in public in the 70s and 80s due to the rise of feminism. For example, imagine a conversation between a man and a woman where the man is a lot brighter than the woman, and the woman is a real dish, curvy, big-breasted, pretty. The man quickly gets bored with her female prattle and starts eyeing up and down her attractive curves and crotch area. The woman senses this, and since, assume, she's a feminist, she says to the man, "You're objectifying me, staring at my breasts and crotch. That makes me feel like a piece of meat, so I'm not happy with you." Okay, now turn the tide on the woman. The man says to her, "Last week, on our first date, I was telling you about my hobbies, my intellectual interests, and you weren't very interested. But as soon as I told you my job and how much I made after you asked me, you were itching to fuck me. That disgusted me. You're obviously just another highly hypergamous female who judges men only by the size of their bank account and not by their personality, their interests, their generosity, etc. That means you are objectifying me, seeing me as a checkbook that potentially you could exploit. That makes me feel like a cash machine, so I'm not happy with you." As this kind of conversation is repeated millions of times, women will learn to suppress their hypergamous nature or be rejected by men. Men don't like being objectified as cash machines by women. They want to be liked and respected for who they are, and not just as exploitable checkbooks. As the sexual ecology keeps shifting towards the creation of a FIP society, in which nearly all women are FIPs and nearly all men are tway-tweffing MGTOWs, then women will be powerfully pressured to suppress open expression of their hypergamous nature. But don't forget that their hypergamous nature is their nature. It was selected for over several million years as the size of the baby's head doubled in a mere million years, causing women to give birth to premature babies and hence created women's dependence on men to give them protein. So women evolved to become prostitutes, sex for protein, and in today's world, sex for money. This hypergamous nature of women will not go away, but it is offensive to men, and especially to masculists/MGTOWs, so women will have to adapt by hiding it and keeping their true feelings and judgment of men criteria to themselves. Otherwise, they will risk being rejected by men. Tway-tweffing will ensure that women present only their FIP side to men and be forced to keep presenting only that side. This will make men's lives a ton better until the gender politicians finally get round to men fairing the gender laws, but that will take a decade or more until the political pressure against them is so strong that they're forced to. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers. Ciao.